Hey YouTube, welcome to another Black Flag Ordnance video. Today we're going to be going over two amazing guns and we're going to put them head to head. First one, we're going to be going over the Sauer M17 versus the Glock 19X. So we're going to be putting these two pistols back to back. We're going to go through a little bit of a durability test. Mainly because obviously, as you know, the M17 did win the new Army contract, but I was thinking to myself, you know, I kind of wanted to put these two head and head just to see exactly how well they would do against each other and see which one I would prefer. I kind of have one already in mind that I do prefer, but I'm going to keep this non-biased and we're going to get into these two handguns. So the first one we have here is the M17. So if you come a little closer, this is the Sauer P320 M17, which was won in the military contract with the Army. So I do have some gripes about this pistol. One, when it comes to the P320 platform, I do not mind it. Don't get me wrong. I have had many 320s. I have had many 320s. As they are good, they are reliable, and the modular system in them are very unique and very innovative. The one thing that I find is, one, for me, I'm not a big fan of the triggers. The triggers for me, I think, are kind of mushy. So the one thing for me was the M17, when you put an optic on them, you do lose your rear sight. So for me, I felt that was not really a good design, especially if your red dot does go out. You want a rear sight to be able to co-witness, or even if your red dot goes out, you at least have your iron sights. But with that being said, the only other thing I really, once again, have a problem with is the trigger itself. These things, in my opinion, do have a very mushy trigger. Maybe it's just mine. I know it's a little bit of the older generation style and it's got the curved rather than the straight, but I don't think they really made the straight for the M17, but I'm sure it's still upgraded nonetheless. I ended up carrying this for a little bit. I have shot it. I do like it, but with that being said, that brings me to my next point, which would be the Glock 19X. The Glock 19X, for me at least, the trigger, I know a lot of people do have a little bit of gripes of the Glock trigger. I will go over the little bit of a difference between the M17 and the Glock 19, but in my opinion, this one did have a lot crisper of a trigger. So we will get into that as well. Moving on from the M17, when it comes to the Glock, I will say that they did upgrade the sights for the 19X specifically. They are the tritium compared to the normal U Glock shape that they have. And I think that was a major upgrade in these things. It's a lot easier for me to at least aim with. They do look a lot cleaner, let alone they are night sights compared to your normal Glock sights that aren't. The only thing that I will say about the normal 19X is that it does not have an optics plate on it. So if you want to take a look, the 19X does not have a optics plate on it. However, the 19X MOS does. So that comes with a compensator and the ability to put a rod dot on it. Now, as we know, when it comes to Glocks, you are able to modify these things a million times. Like you can put anything on these Glocks. So people do get the slides cut, and in return, you know, I'm sure that can obviously be doable for this handgun. But when it comes to this video, the one thing I do want to do is I do want to put these two against each other. They were head and head for the military contract for the new handgun. And so obviously, once again, we know that the SIG won. I just want to test these two out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a mag of each and just kind of take a you know, plank down range just to see how they are as far as just standard, nothing wrong with them, you know, just right out of the box, right? Before I get into that, I do want to go over this trigger real quick. So if we take a look at the M17, obviously nothing loaded, empty chamber. I just want you to hear that trigger. Sounds mushy, right? Sounds like a toy. Yeah, it does. It does not sound good. Like, it doesn't sound good mechanically. Obviously, we haven't had a problem with these triggers, but this is the Glock 19X.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot crisper, yep. A lot crisper. So I want to, that was the biggest thing for me when it came to, hey, how are these things built? Obviously, the M17 did have a durability test and it did pass, but man, it sounds like I'm shooting an airsoft gun with the M17. It just for me, it just blows my mind. You're just like, wow, that's what it sounds like. But from here, yeah, let's load up some mags. And like I said, we'll just plink down range real quick. I am going to put this through a little bit of a durability test. I do have some dirt here. I'm going to mix them up, get a little bit of sand in there, and also do that with some mud and, you know, see which one really came up on top. So before I do get started as well, I do want to go over the differences in the mags. Now, it is kind of interesting to me. Both of these are tan mags. I think it was, I don't know if it was a part of the military contract, but they're all FDE, which is kind of cool. So going over the Sig Sauer M17 mag, you have a metal base plate here with plastic at the end. Standard Sig mag, you don't really see any problems with these. The one thing that I do want to note is the Glock 19X is the standard, just pretty much plastic Glock mag, which is fine. Obviously, we've had these things for years, and I haven't really seen any problems out of the Glock 19 mags. Now, what's also interesting is with the Glock 19X, it holds 19 rounds compared to the M17 21 round mags. So you do get a couple more rounds out of the Sig Sauer compared to the Glock, but overall, I haven't really had any issues with malfunctioning or feeding issues through any of the mags. Obviously, standard Sig mag and standard Glock mag. So I don't see anything as far as any differences. The only thing I will mention though is with the 19X, it will not take standard Glock mags. You have to get the 19X mags. That's due to the lip right here on the Glock 19X. This is not standard through any of the other Glocks. Some people just cut them off. As far as taking a regular Glock mag, no go. That tab will prevent you from putting in a standard Glock mag. I'm gonna shoot the M17 first and just kind of get a feel for it. It's been a while since I even shot it, so let's get to it. All right, so first shots, gonna go through the M17. We're standing, I don't know, 15, maybe 20-ish yards away. I don't expect any greatness. We are shooting steel as well for this video, so hopefully it makes me look a little bit better of a shot. Standard N17, it's fine. The one thing I don't really like, actually while I was shooting, and I've never really noticed this before, as I was shooting, that loaded chamber indicator actually popped up and blocked my green dot on that sight. Not a big deal, obviously, because I'm not looking for that green unless it was nighttime. But I did find that kind of interesting. I've never really had this happen before, so I don't know if it's maybe a broken piece in mine, but I find it kind of interesting. As I was shooting, I was popping up and blocking my front sight. That was a little weird. So let's get the Glock 19X and try the same thing. All right, so now we're doing the 19X. Once again, I'm just shooting a mag of it, really getting a feel for the guns again. I recently just acquired this 19X. I'm not too familiar with it. I have shot Glocks in the past. I do like them. Just more of getting used to this one. It is a little different and I like it. All right. So in my opinion, a lot better trigger. I know you can swap out the triggers on the 320s pretty easily, but as far as a stock trigger, I can't really go wrong with it. I know some people say that the Glock triggers are a hit or a miss. I have to do my research. I don't know if there were any different in the 19X. I would assume maybe, but as far as this one goes, maybe I did get lucky. It's a very crisp trigger feel compared to the M17, which does have a little bit more travel and a little bit more mush to it. So pretty happy with that part of it. So from here, let's put these things to the test and really go for it, you know? For this test, I'm gonna be putting 10 rounds through each handgun. 9 rounds through each handgun. So I'm gonna be putting 10 rounds through each handgun. The first test, look, I don't have a big range like some of these guys at YouTube have, but I'm going to do my best to try to replicate, you know, either some real world testing. So right here next to me, if you want to look, I do have some dirt with some rocks. Rocks, not a big happy about, but what we're going to do is almost as if, you know, you're walking, you're in a gunfight, and you drop your gun. What do? So I'm going to kind of cover this thing in dirt and really see how it performs, if there's any malfunctions, any misfires, and really go from there. So with the gun unloaded, I'm going to close the chamber. I'm really just going to put some dirt on there. I don't expect anything to really happen with the Glock. Glock's going to be my first test because I have high hopes for it. So you're walking on the field and you're like, oh no, I dropped the gun. All right, so if you want to get a good look at that. So I pretty much loaded it up. I don't expect anything, to be honest with you. It's just dust. I think once we get into the mud, that might be a little bit of an issue. But regardless, we're going to test her out and see what she does. So 10 rounds. That's all I'm going to shoot. Felt fine. So, like I said, I doubt this is going to do anything to this thing, but who knows? Let it ride. Yeah. Ran flawlessly. All right, next up, we have the M17. I expect the same result, to be honest with you. I don't expect...
How do you feel about destroying your gun?
Honestly, it sucks. But I'm doing it in the name of science. Science that's probably already been on YouTube and, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You could probably already look it up, but why not do it too? Copycat everybody, you know. Make it worth my while. You can see the dust coming off that thing. You see that? You didn't just see that.
Tactical operator.
All right, so next up, M17, same thing. I don't see really any problems with dust on these guns. This does have a little bit more open crevices though, so I'm kind of curious to see if it's really going to make much of a difference. I doubt it, but let's try it out. Yeah, no problems. I did not expect any, because let's be honest, they passed a military trial for a reason. So next up, we're gonna make it a little interesting.
Oh, no.
We're gonna get some muddy water in there. This is gonna suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also tells me if my TLR light will work.
Okay, well, we're just going in.
Yep. Really hitting in there hard.
Oh, God.
This is gonna be awesome.
From one brother to another. Why?
This is gonna suck. Think it's gonna work?
The Glock will. I don't know about the other one.
I need more bullets. But if you want to take a look at that thing,
Take a look at what time?
look at the Glock. As you can tell, we're really putting these in here. can already tell
Yep.
it's starting to get a little crusty, but that's okay. First malfunction. That's one. Yep. Second malfunction. Third malfunction. Fourth malfunction. Take a look at that. It's starting to get real hard. Yeah, real sticky. It was a failure to extract and also failure to fire a few of them. It's not liking it. So the Glock, what, 5 out of 10?
Yeah.
5 out of 10 shot. So the Glock did not like the mud test. It ended up failure to extract about 5 times in the course of
30 seconds.
30 seconds. So out of 10 rounds, 5 were a malfunction. So for me, I can see where the red flags would hit. Now, obviously, you know, we're caking a little bit more mud, but you know, if you drop them into a muddy puddle or something, you know, I completely understand that. But just know that it does not like to extract or really load in a new one. So it's definitely putting it through its paces as far as what the gun's actually doing and how it's supposed to function. I mean, take a look at that thing. That thing is muddy. That thing is caked, and I'm gonna have a horrible time coming and cleaning this when I get home. Just take a look at that thing though. So out of 5, or out of 10, sorry, out of 10, it malfunctioned 5 times. That is, I expected better, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I was hoping that thing would go all the way. So next up, M17, same thing.
I feel like you intentionally put mud where it probably wouldn't get to.
I'm putting it everywhere. Trust me. If you want to look, you're more than welcome to. The only thing I'm doing is make sure there's no rocks. That's it. Next up is the M17. If you want to look and get a good close-up of what we got going on, we let it sit in the mud. Obviously, same thing. Sitting there, moving all around. So let's see how the M17 does against the Glock. If the Glock is having that kind of issues, I'm not certain that the M17 is going to do any better, to be honest with you.
Probably.
Let's try the M17.
Yep.
Failure.
What did I say? Sorry, buddy.
That broke my heart almost. Yeah, M17, only 1 malfunction. And it was dusted just the same as the 19. I didn't skimp on either. Wow. Wow.
That's kind of a shot in the dick.
It makes sense. Maybe that is the reason why they went with the M17. I mean, obviously, we're going through crude testing here. I mean, it's not anything special as far as, you know, we're not doing anything but putting these things in dirt and mud. But wow, I'm very surprised by that. The fact that the Glock malfunctioned 5 times out of 10, while the M17, which is what the Army adopted, malfunctioned once. Now, obviously, we only shot 10 rounds each. So we shot 20 rounds in total, 10 with the dirt, 10 with the mud. Both went fine through the dirt, no problem. That's not the issue. The issue was the mud, and I'm very surprised. So even though this isn't the most scientific, we're not shooting thousands of rounds, it is pretty interesting to see that the Holy Grail, everyone always talks about Glocks being reliable, and for the most part, I absolutely believed it. I used to shoot a Glock 17 for years, and I ended up kind of getting into more the SIG world, and that's why I ended up getting the M17. I was like, oh man, these things are cool, right? Very, very surprised at the fact that the Glock malfunctioned more than the M17. The M17 only malfunctioned once. Glock did 5. Could that be the reason why they ended up going with the M17 in the end? Maybe. But even though there are pros and cons to each handgun that we have on the table, both of them were put through mud and dirt. The M17 felt a little bit more actually like gritty, but ended up working fine. That blew my mind. Let me just, I thought the Glock would have made it because I was sitting there like, this feels smooth. All right, cool. And all of a sudden, oh yeah, just failure to eject like 5 times. That blows my mind. Like out of both of these guns, I figured that it would have been a close tie. Once again, could be my Glock. It could be, you know, certain factors that add up to this, where the dirt was. I mean, I put dirt on everything, don't get me wrong. But the M17, this is the one that took the cake. Honestly, my heart was set on the Glock winning, but the facts speak for itself. Five misfires. Well, I shouldn't say misfires. 5 failure to extracts. The M17, 1. Guess the winner would be the M17 at that point. That's crazy to me. So, I'll open another mag of the M17 and see if it really messes up. Other than that, I would say the M17 kind of takes the cake. Yeah, I'm totally, wow. I'm blown away.
You look like you're almost disappointed.
I am. I actually am. Look, I've had the M17 and the Glock 19. I've shot Glock for many years. I just dropped 2 bullets. So, even though it was a quick test, you know, for me, look, I liked my M17 at first. I can't really bash on it too much just besides the trigger. I've shot Glock for many years. I had a Glock 17, and then I ended up getting the 19X. Just one, I think they're still cool. Regardless, they're still cool guns. I don't care if it failure to extract more than the M17. They're both cool guns. So, but in all honesty, I mean, as much as I do kind of bash a little bit on the M17, it's not that bad of a gun. It's not. The fact that it did end up doing that well, even in just the minor testing that we did, blows my mind. When does that happen? You know, I mean, yeah, sure, minor testing, you would think, okay, both guns should work normally, and they didn't. So, in the lieu of things, I did load up a 21 round mag. I'll put her down range, see if we can record anything else different. If not, it's clear to me that the M17 took the cake, you know? So let's get to it. All right, so one thing I will say is my safety is absolutely just gunked up. This thing is, you can just hear it. Good God, that sucks. Ready?
Yep.
All right, 21 rounds going down. Well, there's 1, 2. So I got 2 out of that one.
Still better than the Glock.
Still better, but you know what? This got me thinking. So I was gonna end the video there, But now I am curious. That thing did have 2 failures. Now, I am going to load up a full Glock mag. And I am going to see how many either failures we have or if it's going to run good. So far, we've had 2 in the M17 with the 21 round mag. I'm going to load up all 19 in the Glock 19X. And I'm going to see if it's going to make that much of a difference. So, the Glock 19X, still dirty as all get out. And we're going to see if there's any more failures out of this thing. Glock 19X, take 2. Goose egg.
I mean, it's still lost.
Still lost, technically speaking. Let me just throw that out there. 0 malfunctions the second time. Could have been something in the gun? Maybe. Consensus. Honestly, with the wet mud, yes, technically the SIG did win. It only had 2 failures compared to Glock's 5. Even though it could have just been how the mud was sitting in this gun, you know, you have to take that into consideration when you're looking at real world problems. Hey, if you're in the field and you drop your gun, is your gun going to work? In this instance, technically, the SIG did outperform the Glock. Now, obviously, when you're looking at when we shot on the second time and the mud kind of dried up a bit, guess what? The SIG had actually 2 failures while the Glock had 0. But you have to look at it as, okay, we dropped it in the mud, is it going to work? Therefore, the SIG kind of took the cake on that one for the first 10 rounds. I refuse to believe, but regardless, SIG ended up taking it, and I'm okay with that. I mean, this gun is dirty as all get out, and so is the Glock. But, oh yeah, absolutely. This thing is going to be fun to clean nonetheless, and I got 2 of them to clean. So, other than that, I do appreciate you guys watching the video, and until the next time, thanks, y'all.